everything is Ishvara. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. It is suggested. And we hear it all the time. In every Vedanta class, in one form or the other, this vision is presented. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. What all you see is Ishvara. Jagadeva Harihi, Harireva Jagat. Ishvara alone is in the form of this entire universe. This point is made quite well in Vedanta. But in real terms, this statement doesn't seem to have any meaning. Because we continue to entertain hatred, enmity, ill will, and we have friends and foes. We divide the people into all kinds of race, religion, etc. We continue to do all that. Thereby, it is a direct negation of this basic principle of Vedanta, that Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. So, directly it is negated. Right away it is made into Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma, is made into a dead letter by our vision of the world, the way we look at the world. So that doesn't work. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma is the truth. But just putting emphasis on that truth, it doesn't work. It has to begin with your heart. So you have to visualize that Parabrahma in your heart. Parabrahma or Ishvara, one and the same. First you have to visualize in your heart. Then what you have in your heart, you will see in the world. If you have conflict in your heart, you will see only conflict in the world. You see, a sick person, where he will be looking? Where is hospital? That H. Where is it? That H sign. Where is it? Where is doctor? He doesn't look at the thousands or millions of other people around. He looks at the doctor. He is looking for the doctor. He is looking for the hospital. And then he sees only patients. You see, generally if you go to a hospital, there will be a patient and non-patients 3-4 will be there around him. But the patient sees only patients. He sees patients everywhere. He sees suffering everywhere. Why? Because he has suffering in him. He is a patient in himself. Therefore, what you see the world is already what you are in your own heart. If there is sickness in you, you see the whole world as sick. You see the sick only in the world. If there is joy in your heart, you see joy only in the world. If there is love in your heart, you see love everywhere. If there is conflict in your heart, you will see conflict everywhere. If there is peace in your heart, you will see peace everywhere. The world is an image of your heart. That is what a reflection of your heart. Therefore, if you see Ishvara in your heart, so you look at yourself, what do you see? You see yourself. I see myself as a father, as a son, as a person, as an old man, as a young man. All kinds of things I see about myself. Do I ever see in my own heart the presence of Ishvara? Suppose I learn to feel, don't ask how, just do it. You learn to feel the presence of Ishvara in your heart. I feel the presence of Ishvara in my heart. So a temple is needed to make that happen. Till that happens, you need a temple. If that doesn't happen, the temple did not serve any purpose. Once that happens, the temple has done its job and you don't need a temple anymore. Because human heart is the temple. Temple is what? You feel the presence of God. That is what a temple is. Therefore, the heart is the temple. You feel the presence of Ishvara in your heart. Then you look around, you feel the presence of Ishvara everywhere. This is the way you have to cultivate devotion by conquering the sixfold enemies. Nirjita Shadvargaihi. Evam kriyate bhakti. You see, keeping the sixfold inner enemies intact, you cannot cultivate bhakti. Suppose, what are the sixfold enemies? Kama, the inner enemies, Antashatru. Kama, desire. He is the chief of this army of enemies. That's why the Kama is put in the first place. We have a festival called Kama Dahanam. Shiva has destroyed Kama. Holy festival is there in North India, South India, everywhere. So they put a bonfire on the road and all that. So what is the name of the festival? Kama Dahanam. You have only Kama Dahanam. You do not have Krodha Dahanam, you do not have Dvesha Dahanam. That such festivals are not there. You know why? Kama Dahanam is enough. Kama is the chieftain of this group. So if Kama is dissolved, then the entire group will get dissolved. Kama is the culprit. He is the villain of the piece. Arjuna asked, who is the villain? Papam charati purushaha. So who is the villain? Then Sri Krishna replies very emphatically, Kama eshaha. And then Krodha eshaha, etc. Therefore, the desire is the villain, he is the culprit. And so the list of 6 inner enemies begins with Kama. And then Krodha. Krodha is anger, frustration, and hatred, ill will, all the variety of emotions. That is Krodha. You don't like a person, you hate him. That is Krodha. Kama, Krodha. Lobha, greed. Greed for wealth, greed for the things of the world, greed. So, Kama, Krodha, Lobha. Moha. Moha is infatuation. I tell you what is moha. If there is an inanimate object, lifeless object, and you say you love it, that is moha. Acid test. If you say, I love my car, that is moha. If you say, I love my bag, that is moha. That is moha. If you say, I love my ring, that is moha. Any inanimate object, if you say you love, because it doesn't love you back, only 50% love it is. So if you say you love your home, that is moha. That is not love. It is called moha. Now you know what is moha. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha. Mada, ego. I am a self-made man. That is mada. I made this. I made this family. I made this building. I made this institution. I made this. I made that. Mada. Matsarya is jealousy. When you made such great things, then you have an attitude of lowliness. Means they are very lowly people. Other people who are not so accomplished, they appear lowly. And you develop a condescending attitude towards the other people. And then when you come across people who have accomplished more than you, you become jealous. That is Matsarya. These are the enemies. And as you contemplate Ishvara in your heart, you become free from these enemies. And as you contemplate, then you see Ishvara in every living being. Then this is how, when you see Ishvara in every living being, there is no occasion for Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. That means, just by focusing on Ishvara who abides in the heart of every individual, you are able to overcome all these negative emotions called Arishad Varga, the sixfold enemies. So then what happens? As these negative emotions are getting diluted and eventually eliminated, simultaneously the devotion, the love of Ishvara, it grows. Bhakti kriyate. So you see, the point is, people, they worship God, but then they keep these inner enemies intact. They keep their desires intact, they keep their hatred intact. In fact, they pray to God to join their side in their hatred. So God has now to join my side in my battle against another person. Now suppose God joined me in my battle against another person. So now what happens to that God? He is no more a God. He takes sides, means that samatvam, that equanimity, the sameness, which is the defining characteristic of Godhood, is gone. What kind of God it is? And therefore, by eliminating this, by keeping these inner enemies intact, even without making an effort to get rid of them, at the same time you think that you have devotion to God because you are able to perform a ritual, etc. It is a distortion. There is no truth in it. Therefore, bhakti is not a public display of a few things. That is not bhakti. Bhakti is handling the impurities and the distortions of the mind in a very fundamental way. So much so, eventually you are free from those distortions, and the pure love, it will start blossoming in your heart. That is the bhakti. And so bhakti, love and Ishvara, bhakti Ishvare. And then the Ishvara is described as Vasudeve Bhagavati. I have explained these names. So he is the Vasudeva, means he is the being, the being, the presence on which this entire universe exists. And he is the awareness in which this entire universe comes to light. Vasu is the being, Sat, and Deva is the awareness, Chit. So he is the Sat Chit. He is the Sat, the existence of entire universe, and he is the Chit, the awareness or the consciousness in which the entire universe comes to light. So that is called Vasudeva. So as you get this bhakti, yaya samlabhate ratim, as the bhakti blossoms in your heart, you will not know what is affliction, what is unhappiness or misery. And that joy of love. Love is joy, joy of love. So there is joy in love. There is no joy in hatred, or even in, suppose somebody comes to you, you snub him. There is no joy in it. He becomes unhappy anyway, but you also become equally unhappy. You show anger upon him. You won't become joyous by becoming angry upon him. So you will remain in unhappiness. Suppose you forgive him, and whatever blemishes are there in him, you just overlook those blemishes, and you look at the Ishvara that is shining in his heart, because he is a conscious being, he is a living being, all life is Ishvara, and therefore you see Ishvara in him, and thereby you respect him, be nice to him, in spite of his wrong behavior. Otherwise, you treat him well, and then he is given a chance to grow. And then, whether he grows or not, there is joy in your heart. Yaya samlabhate ratim. This is what Prahlada is telling to these boys. Because these boys are taught to hate devatas. They are asuras, you know. So Hiranyakashipu has devised a curriculum in which they are taught a few things. Number one, the pursuit of sense pleasures is the big thing in life. That is the curriculum. Number one. Some of this curriculum, at least certain aspects of this curriculum, is there in our children's education also. So this is the pursuit of sense pleasures and wealth is the accomplishment of life, number one. Number two, be ambitious and competitive. That is Rakshasa Swabhava, you know. So be that, number two. Then number three, hate God. That is Hiranyakashipu. So be an atheist or an agnostic. That is number 3. This is the curriculum which Hiranyakashipu created for these for the schools. And in the school in which Prahlada is studying, this curriculum is being taught by those 2 teachers. Shanda and Marka, they are these teachers. So this is the curriculum. And now when the teachers are busy and the children all assembled around Prahlada, he is teaching something entirely opposite to that curriculum. So now you know how the story is going to develop. So the enmity between Prahlada and Hiranyakashipu, it is a fight between ideas. It is not a fight for money or any such thing. It is a fight, ideological fight it is. Very dangerous fight. Fight for the money is a simple fight. So they can compromise. But ideological fight, if you enter into it, there is no compromise. There will never be any compromise in ideological fight. So the hatred is complete. So you should never become a victim of ideological fight. Because all ideologies are ultimately the products of the mind. And they do not even touch the reality. The reality, it transcends all ideas of the mind. Anyway, so this is how you gain that inner joy. Yaya samlabhate ratim. Therefore, bhakti of Ishvara, it is not a pastime of lazy people or people who are a failure in the world. It should not be taken looked at like that. It is not the pastime of people who cannot make it in the world. It is indeed a challenge to the highest successful people also, because this is the only way to discover love and joy in life. There is no other way. So Prahlada is teaching like that. Then he continues his teaching. Some of the very good verses are before you. Tada puman mukta samasta bandhana tadbhava bhavanukrita shaya kritihi nirdagdha bijanushayo mahiyasa bhakti prayogena sametya dhokshajam. This is the practice of bhakti. Prayoga is practice. Bhakti prayogena. What kind of mahiyasa? Very supreme devotion. That is parabhakti, it is called. So supreme devotion. And you have to practice that. You should not be satisfied with some kind of give and take devotion, some kind of mercantile devotion, also called convenient bhakti. So you should not be satisfied with that. It may be there in the initial stages. Swami Vivekananda termed it as a preliminary devotion. So it is always wonderful that you worship a form, and so you fix, you relegate Ishvara to a particular place and time and object. So all that is fine. So in a preliminary state, all that is fine in a preliminary level. You should not stop there. You have to rise to the supreme devotion. Mahiyasa bhakti prayogena. When you do that, the individual, male or female, the individual, mukta samasta bandhanaha. He becomes free from all bondage. Suppose you have a conflict in life. Suppose conflict is bondage. That is bondage. Bondage means that is how people are bound. So it is not that some ropes are tied around the person. This is the bondage, conflict. You cannot, there is no freedom. When there is conflict, there is no freedom. In fact, you need freedom from conflict. So how do you get it? I tell you, there is only one solution to every conflict in life in all situations. That is love. That is the only solution. But an ignorant person who is caught in a conflict, he doesn't know this truth. That's why he is ignorant. And therefore he tries to resolve this conflict in multiple ways. He tries to resolve the conflict by hurting the other person. He thinks that is the way to resolve the conflict. You can never succeed in that. You may be able to hurt the other person, but the conflict won't go away. Conflict remains intact in the heart. And therefore, there is only one way to resolve the conflict, that is love. Love of Ishvara. Where is Ishvara? He is in the heart of every living being. There is no friend and there is no foe. There is only divinity. So that is how Mahiyasa Bhakti Prayogena, when you rise to that level of supreme devotion, then immediately Mukta Samasta Bandhanaha, all bonds fall apart. The bond of conflict, the bondage of attachment, the bondage of desires, the bondage of fears. People are bound by desires. And then fears. People are very superstitious. So fear makes people very superstitious. Fear leads to slavery of the mind. You don't need fear at all. That is a big bondage. So all these bonds, all these fetters will be torn apart by that supreme devotion to Ishvara as it is practiced the way it is described. Then what happens? Tad bhava bhavanukrita shaya kritihi. So the thought life, anushaya is the heart. The words are a bit difficult in Bhagavatam. Anushaya is the heart. Akruti is the movement of the heart, the shape of the heart. So anushaya kritihi it can be nicely translated as the thought life. There is a thought life. In fact, life means thought life only. Suppose a businessman is there. What is the dominant feature of his thought life? In that thought life, there is God, there is wife, there are children, there are relatives, there are rituals, everything is there. But the dominant feature of the thought life is business, making money. Suppose a bhoga person is there. Bhoga. Bhoga means enjoyment of pleasures. He has a home, he loves his people, he loves his children, wife and all that. But the dominant feature of his thought life is pleasure, pleasure seeking. Suppose he is given to playing cards, these gambling people. Very nice people. But his thought life is totally occupied by those gambling things. He loves his wife and he says, I love you and all that. He gives money also, but his thought life is occupied by the gambling. He is saying nice things because he wants to get out of the house quickly. So thought life. So you have to look at your thought life. In what state it is, thought life. So he says, thought life should be pervaded by or should be dominated by the love of Ishvara. That is how the thought life should become. The bhakti. Again, bhakti means, I have cautiously defined bhakti, very elaborately defined bhakti. That is the bhakti. So, the love of Ishvara, Ishvara being all-pervasive, that is the bhakti, the para-bhakti, supreme devotion. And so that should mold the thought life of the individual. That is how he becomes free from all bondage in this life, even while living. Nirdagdha bijanushayaha. You see, the seed of all affliction is in the heart. The seed, that is the ignorance. Suppose you have a desire. The desire is the seed of future affliction, sorrow. You have a fear. That is the seed of future sorrow. Why future? It is sorrow even now. So this is how the seed of sorrow is there in the heart. Like moha. This is also called ajnana. This is the ajnana. Moha. You see, different religions gave different nomenclature. The Christian mystics call it original sin. Means the seed of sorrow is always sitting in your heart. That is the original sin. They called it sin. Buddha called it dukkham. Sarvam dukkham. What he means is sukshma dukkham. That is what he means. He explains it. He is not talking about some crying over the shoulders of somebody else. That is not that crying. That is not what he means by dukkham. Sukshma dukkham. He says even when the person is enjoying, partying away, is picnicking away, very hilariously enjoying, still it is dukkham, because the seed of dukkham, the sukshma dukkham, is already getting created in his heart, and it is only a matter of time. Very soon he will fall into the depths of sorrow. That is how the world is. You see, the world, the worldly people, either they are already in sorrow or they are living on the verge of sorrow. Any moment they will tumble into sorrow. That is sarvam dukkham. So where is the seed of this sorrow? In the heart. And that is what sarvam dukkham, that is Buddha's nomenclature. In Vedanta, it is called ajnana, and ajnana meaning moha. That is the seed of suffering. Nomenclature is different, but they are all talking about the same reality, same truth. Therefore, when you have this intense devotion to Ishvara in the form of love, to Ishvara who abides in every human heart, you see, when you learn to love all, when you have that fragrance of love in your heart, filling in your heart, then you end up loving everything. You love everything. Nothing is worthy of hating. Everything is worthy of love. Everything. A creature, an animal, a bird, a tree, a blade of grass is also worth loving. You just love. You don't do anything about it. You just love. People say we love and then pluck it. That is not love, that is himsa. So if you say I love rose, then you should leave it there. Then that is love. If you say I love rose and pluck it, that is moha. I told you, moha. Moha should not be confused with love. If you love rose, you leave it there. That is love. If you love a bird, don't you disturb it. You go this way so that it won't be disturbed. Anyway, so when you discover love in all situations towards everything, all of this universe, that is the real bhakti, supreme devotion. Now what that will do? It will destroy the bija, the seed of sorrow in the heart. Nirdagdha bija anushayaha. So that amounts to saying it will destroy all the sin that is there in the heart. Sin means the desire is the sin, fear is that is the sin, the bondage is the sin. What else is the sin? All of that gets destroyed. So all the moha gets destroyed, and so then it is a simple corollary that the person. There is no person, there is no nucleus anymore to suffer in this life or to take another birth. Even that nucleus for another, the flow of life and death, etc., it comes to an end. Samet yadhokshajam. Then what happens? He goes and merges in Ishvara. Adhokshaja is Ishvara. Adhokshaja. The meaning of the word also you should know. It means beyond the perception and the intellectualization. So aksha is indriya. Akshaja. So with the indriyas, whatever you get, that is perception and conception. So you infer with the mind. Mind is also indriya. So that is the domain of the indriya. So Ishvara's glory, the domain of the Indriyas cannot reach there. The domain of the Indriyas remains below. It can never reach the glory of Ishvara. That is so Ishvara transcends the domain of the Indriyas. That's why Ishvara is called Adhokshajam, unto whom the domain of the Indriyas lies below. Adhokshajam. Anyway, that means Ishvara. So this person, this individual, goes and merges in Ishvara like the river merges in the ocean. That is moksha. Therefore, this bhakti, the supreme devotion, practiced this way, so it takes the person to moksha. Every word of that verse is covered, every word. Adhokshajalambha mihashubha adhokshajalambha mihashubhatmanaha sharirina sansruti chakrashatanam tad brahma nirvana sukham vidurbudhaha tato bhajadvam hrudaye hrudishwaram. Ashubhatmanaha sharirinaha. Here is the shariri. Shariri means the one who identifies with the sharira. That is the shariri. So, why should he identify with the sharira? Sharira, you know what is sharira? Whatever disintegrates is called sharira. It just disintegrates. So, the life integrates a few things, puts together a few things. Life puts them together. And what you have as a result is the sharira. So life, the child has life. The fetus in the mother's womb has life. That cell has life. And so that life has such a power, it puts together a few things. Like it puts together carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen and phosphorus. They are put together. That is what the body is. Swami Chinmayanandaji used to say, body is an unholy mass of carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen and phosphorus. That is what he used to say. You may add a few other things, but all the main things are covered. Phosphorus, a lot of phosphorus is present in the body. Every cell has got this ATP, ADP, triphosphate, diphosphate. So much of phosphorus is there in the body. And therefore, so he puts phosphorus there. Anyway, that is what the body is. And it is put together by life. And there is a law. Whatever is put together will disintegrate. That is the law. And therefore, that is the sharira. And you identify with this unholy mass. Is it worth identifying? You see, suppose somebody asks you, you have two options. One, you are the body. Two, you are not the body. These two options. A wise man would select which option? You are not the body option only he will select. But suppose a person, due to his ignorance or impurities of the mind, Ashubhatmanaha, he says, Ashubhatmanaha, Atma is mind. Ashubha, inauspicious. So, means very impure mind. So, he loves, he wants to derive the pleasure through the body. And therefore, he will choose the option of identification with the body. But anyway, there is no option at all. There is only one truth. There is no option. That is, you are not your body. You see, this is something which makes me always a bit wondrous. It makes me wondrous. This is what we teach in Vedanta. What? You are not your body. And one more thing, you are not your mind. This is the teaching. Then what is left now? Then who am I then? So, once it is said that you are not your body, Then all things connected to the body, like home, then bank account. Bank account is connected to the body because there is always a photograph to the account book. So bank account, everything connected to the body is taken away. They are not yours. When body itself is not you, then things connected to the body are not yours. Then you are not your mind, means all your emotional attachment, what you call love, hate, etc., they are all taken away. Then what is left? And but that is the glory of Vedanta. That is the teaching. Whatever is left we will see, but first you see what you are not. So this is Vedanta. And I tell you one more thing, this is the wonder. And I tell you one more thing. Suppose this is not highlighted, then that is not Vedanta. It is some jugglery. This is to be highlighted. This is Vedanta. So therefore, Ashubhatmanaha Sharirinaha. So we become identified with the body because of the ignorance of the mind. Identification is the ignorance. In fact, Mahatmas or wise people, they do not identify with anything. They do not identify. Suppose a wise man lives in a place for a year. He walks away just like that. Nothing sticks. No identification. And wise people, wise man, a Mahatma finds it very difficult to identify with anything. He cannot identify. Whereas worldly people, they so readily identify with every silly thing. They identify with a cat, with a dog, what not. With pretty much everything they identify. They end up saying, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. They identify with the hair. You cannot believe it, I tell you. So this is the impurity of the mind, this identification. That is the Ashubha. Ashubhatmanaha. So Sharirinaha. That is the samsari. So how to get rid of this samsara? Samsruti chakra nashanam. It is a chakra, the wheel. The wheel of samsara. It is the wheel. You cannot stop the wheel. You are sitting on the periphery of the wheel. So as the wheel goes down, we go down. And the wheel comes up, we come up. It has nothing to do with our like or dislike. This is the wheel. Samsruti chakra. And the wheel of time it is. So now young, now old, now death, and now birth, now young, now old, now death, now birth. The wheel of time. You cannot stop it. It won't stop. Suppose you are tired of this wheel, you cannot stop it. That is the chakra, an inexorable cycle of pleasure and pain. Not only birth and death are one-time thing. What about pleasure and pain? They are daily and hourly things. Morning pleasure, afternoon pain, again evening pleasure and pain. Pleasure in pain and pain in pleasure. That is the cycle. Samsruti chakra. And people are caught in this cycle of pleasure and pain. Cycle of birth and death. Identified with the body. The mind is impure. Ashubhatmanaha. So where is redemption? There is redemption. That is adhokshajalambham. You, alambha means embrace Ishvara. Adhokshaja is Ishvara. Alambha means embrace Ishvara. Touch. Alambha is touch Ishvara. So it is like the metal touches that particular philosopher's stone, it is called, and it becomes gold. That is only an example. Don't take it seriously, there is no such thing. So just given as an example, this is the rod of Moses. There is a staff in the hands of Moses, right? And he says, stop, the ocean gives way, and you go through the ocean. That is the staff of Moses. And what is that staff of Moses? Supreme devotion to Ishvara. That is the staff. They are all symbolic. They may not be knowing it, but they know that also. So, it is all symbolic. Some of the mystics know it. Mystics among them know it. But the religious guys, they don't know. Not only that religion, every religion is like that. Even our religion is no better. It is the same. So, they don't understand the spirit of these descriptions. And when there is no spirit, what remains is a letter. And therefore, everything becomes a literal. So that is the literality versus spirituality. Literality is religion. Spirituality is philosophy. That is Vedanta. So, anyway, that is, so the touch of Ishvara means you start visualizing Ishvara in your heart, meditate, and then try to see Ishvara in all people. Rise above your own weakness of mind. Your mind wants you to look at the other person as an enemy or an adversary. So, suppose we come to an ashram and yet look at each other as adversaries. Why? What can be, how there can be an adversary in an ashram? Means again within the ashram we create a samsara. And we create positions within the ashram. Positions of certain privilege. We create within the ashram. And therefore when there is a position of privilege, then people who are around, they will be competing for it. And when there is ambition again, I want to become the head of this place or this or that, ambition will be there. And when there is ambition and there is when competition, then conflict will come. People become adversaries to each other. And so they hate each other. You see it all the time. Therefore, so don't fall into that trap of samsara. Let there be a touch of Ishvara. So don't look at the other person as an adversary. Nobody is an adversary. This samsara is a mithya thing, it is. What you think a position of power or an accomplishment, etc., it is all mithya. You know what is samsara? I tell you what is samsara. A river is flowing and you take a stylus and write on the water. You are writing. What is happening to the writing that you are putting there? If you write on the sands, at least till the wind comes and blows the sand, it remains there. But it is not on the sands. You take a stylus and you are writing on the water. The water is flowing. The time, time is flowing. So as the water is flowing, what you write is getting erased. This is what life is. क्या समझ रहे भाई लाइफ को? Millions of people came and lived long lives and gone away. What happened to all their life? They have written so many stories on this flow of water, flow of time, which is the flow of water. What happened to all those stories? They are all erased. And what is happening to our story? We are writing a story. What is happening to that story? It is getting erased. Even as we are writing, it is getting erased. This is the world. And in that, who is adversary? What is a position of privilege? What are you talking about? Therefore, you see Ishvara, don't see adversaries. See Ishvara in every human heart. That is the touch of Ishvara. You have the touch of Ishvara in your heart. And then discover the touch of Ishvara in every heart. This is how Shatanam, this is the death blow to that wheel of samsara. Samsruti chakra Shatanam. It will put an end to that wheel. And Tad Brahma, suppose the wheel of samsara ends to me, then what will happen to me? I become one with Brahma. Tad Brahma, that alone is called Brahma. The devotees call it Ishvara and devotion. Whereas when it comes to the jnana context, the same thing is called Brahma. and jnanam and self-realization, that is how it is called. So tad brahma nirvana sukham, that is the joy. A joy that is not sullied by unhappiness or misery. You see, the joy of the senses versus the joy of one's own swarupa, they are two different things. The joy, we don't call it joy of the senses, you may call it, word is not the issue. The pleasure that you derive from the senses. How do you derive the pleasure from the senses? The sense organ, sense means sense organ, has to come into contact with the sense object. The contact should happen. With the eyes you see something and you become pleased. With the tongue you taste something and become pleased. With the nose you pick up some smell or fragrance and then become pleased. So like this, the sense organ should acquire a sense object, and then the contact also should happen. Suppose sense object is there, sense organ is waiting, no contact, then there is no pleasure. You see, this person who sells the scent, that is what we call in India, scent. He sells the scent. The fragrant materials he comes to the door and he shows the bottle which has rose oil, rose scent. He doesn't open the lid. He shows it. And if he is convinced that you are going to purchase some of that, then he will open the lid. And then only he will get the fragrance. Unless he opens the lid, you don't know what is the lid. Therefore, the contact should happen. The presence is not enough. So the contact should happen. And then you get pleasure. Now that pleasure is invariably associated with pain. Pain will follow. Pain will follow. Suppose you use too many perfumes, then the nose, it loses all its sensitivity and it becomes insensitive, all the receptors etc. get blocked, and then you have to take some tablets to make the nose better. You have to go to a ENT specialist, some allergy, this and that. very painful it is. So this world of sense pleasures, it is a big trap, it is, I tell you. Suppose then you ask me, okay, so what do you mean? You give up all pleasures? Yes. Then what happens? Suppose you give up all pleasures, you will not know what is pain. You will not know. You will transcend the pleasure-pain opposites and you arrive at the joy, unsullied joy of Swarupa. That is the Nirvana Sukham. Nirvana is a very interesting word. Vana is Bana. In Buddhist literature, they call it Nibbana. Bana is Bana, you know the word Bana. It is a sharp piece of metal stuck in the heart. That is what a Bana is. So that arrowhead, which is very sharp metal, it pierces the heart. That is very painful. That is the Bana. Kama is a Bana. Kama Bana, Krodha is Bana. It is a arrow pierced into the heart. Moha is a Bana. All these arrows which cause so much suffering to the heart, they are all gone in that joy of one's own Swarupa. That's why it is called Nirvana Sukham. Gitacharya also says the same word, Brahma Nirvanam Ruchyati. So last verse of second Adhyaya. So Vidur Buddhaha, the scholars call that bhakti alone is called Brahma. It is alone called Nirvana, Moksha, self-realization, etc. Therefore, Tataha, therefore, hey Asura Balakas, dear kids, bhajadvam Ishwaram, Hrudishwaram, Hrudaye bhajadvam. You look into your heart. Who is the overlord of this heart? You see, here is Ishvara, Madhye Vamanam Asinam. He is very like a dwarf, like a very pygmy like Ishvara he is, because he has to fit into this heart. That's why he is called Vamanam. Madhye Vamanam Asinam. So what is he doing? He sits here and inhales, brings the life-giving air inside and then throws the impurities of the body outside. So prana, apana brings in the air and throws out the air, prana. So prana and apana, in and out, in and out. Who is doing it? The ego is doing it? The body identified ego is doing it? No. People talk of will, personal will. Is there any personal will involved in this in and out? There is no personal will. If you want to do pranayama, then it may appear as you are having some will. But natural in and out, inhalation, there is no personal will. Which means what? You are not doing it. You are not doing it. Then somebody else is doing it. And that somebody else sits in the heart. He is doing it. Means he is the one who maintains life in this body. Therefore, he is the Lord of this temple. Heart is the temple. And who is the Lord of this temple? Ishvara is the Lord of this temple. Not the ego. Not the body-mind identified ego. Body-identified ego is not the Lord of anything. So, Hrudishwaram. So, Ishvara, who is the Lord of this temple, called heart, is sitting there. So, O Balakas, dear children, bhajadvam hrudaye, in your heart, you worship Ishvara, recognizing Ishvara as the Lord of this heart. So that is how you worship Him. It is all, heart is the temple. That is what it is. Heart is the temple. We have a small booklet called Heart is the Temple. You don't miss the last Bhagavatam class, you will get a copy of that book. Okay. Koti prayaso sura balaka harehe upasane sve hridi chhidravatsataha swasyatmanah sakshurasheshadehinam samanyatah kim vishayopapadanaihi. Yeah, very beautiful verse. Asura balakaha. It's an address. Oh, the children belonging to the clan of Asuras. That is the address. But its significance I already told you. It can be translated as, oh, the people ignorant, given to pursuit of sense pleasures. That is the translation. So that is how it can be translated. O Asura balaka harehe upasane. So worshipping that Ishvara, who is the eliminator of all the afflictions of the heart. Hari. Hari is that eliminations of all the afflictions of the heart. So he has to be worshipped, contemplated upon, upasana. So it is difficult. What is difficult in it? There is no difficulty. Koti prayasaha. What great difficulty is there in it? Means what? Some initial acclimatization you will have to do. You have to put yourself into that stream. That much effort will be required. But once you go into it, it becomes so spontaneous and so natural. There is no difficulty in worshipping Ishvara. Meditation, he is talking about meditation, you know. You have to worship in the heart. What is the difficulty in it? You know why? You have to worship Sve Hridi. You have to worship Ishvara, who is just sitting there. Sataha. Sataha means abiding. He is there. In your heart he is there. What is the difficulty? Suppose Ishvara is in Varanasi. Now you have to take a flight. There is a flight from Toronto to Delhi. That is a flight. You will reach Delhi all right, but you will become like half a person because of the jet lag and all that. And then you have to take another flight and go to Varanasi, and then relax a little and become fresh and bath and all that, Ganga, and then go to the temple. There is a huge queue, and you have to purchase ticket, and still you have to struggle there a lot. So people will be pushing you from behind, and then people will be pushing you from ahead also. You will be sandwiched between these masses of people, which you do not experience in Toronto and other places. So you go there, and then you have to have the darshanam. So you see something there, some murti is sitting there, obviously. You see that, and then come out. Now you have to tell yourself, oh, I have done darshanam. You have to tell yourself. Otherwise, all this struggle and the expenditure is of no avail. So it is heartbreaking to think like that. So better you think, I have done something meaningful. So you think like that. A self-satisfying way. So what kind of, is it a darshanam? It is also a darshanam, a very preliminary darshanam. But suppose you discover Ishvara in your heart, suppose. Then what is the ati prayasaha? What is the great difficulty in it? You may have to sit cross-legged with the back upright. That is the only prayasa that is required. That too only in the initial stages. It is not a big effort, ati prayasaha na. So, because Ishvara is sitting here, Sve Hridi Sataha. He just abides there. How? How does he abide? So, Ishvara is here means how? In which way he is here? Because I have to recognize Ishvara. Chidravat Sataha. Chidra is Akasha. He is there in your heart like the space. Space. You see, that's why this meditation upon Ishvara is the simplest thing it is to do. Simplest to do. Because what you have to do is, you look at the physical dimension. There is a lot of doing there. Doing means action is there in the physical dimension level. So for a while you choose to give up all that doing. So you need not do anything. You have to give up doing at the physical level. You give up doing at the physical level. So how do you do that? You sit cross-legged upright in a meditative posture. You sit and don't move. Ho gaya kam. So give up the movement at the physical level. Then come to the mental level. So give up all doing at the mental level. So that is what you have to do. You have to give up only. You need not do anything. You need not hold on to anything. Suppose I ask you, hold on to this form. That becomes difficult because mind will be jumping away and it wanders and all that. It never stays. So you will be frustrated and even conflicted. Many people get conflicted. They take a mala, get hold of a mantra and a mala and a guru, and a conflict. That is the package. So guru, mala, mantra and conflict. What is the conflict? I am doing mala, but the mind doesn't stay. There is no progress. Mind is wandering away. So he goes to the guru with this conflict. Now guru doesn't have an answer for it because he seems to have this conflict himself. Only thing is he won't say it out. Because it is mind again. It is the same. Mind is the same. So now we are not asking you to focus on something, to concentrate on something, to stay with something, to concentrate. Concentrate means, my God, you are making the ground for conflict. Because mind you cannot concentrate. Very tough. And thinking, we are talking of giving up doing, right? Thinking is also doing, you should know that. Concentrating is also doing. Shravanam is there. This is also doing. It is required. This is a doing. You have to listen to and understand. It's a doing at the level of the mind. Mananam is a doing. But when it comes to nididhyasanam, you need not even you need not even reflect on anything. Don't do anything. Give up. Give up all doing at the level of the mind. What is the difficulty? Now that is meditation. Meditation is giving up all doing at the physical and mental level. That is the meditation, Vedantic meditation. And when you do that, then you remain. You remain as what? As the pure being, the space-like being. Space-like. And that space-like being is Ishvara. What is the difficulty now? Koti prayasaha, chidrasya sataha. It is the being like space. So you just be. That is meditation. Therefore, in meditation, there is no doing in the actual domain of meditation. While preparing for the meditation, you come to the meditation class, you sit, close the light, put off the light, sit upright. So that kind of doing could be there. But the doing is aimed at giving up all doing and abide in that being which is space-like. That is the meditation. And that is Ishvara. You should know that that space-like being, Sat, is Ishvara. It is called Sadvidya. So Sadeva Somyedamagra Asit. That is the Sat. And that Sat is in you. Don't think that Sat is elsewhere. If Sat, which is the origin of the universe, is elsewhere, then you cannot have Tattvamasi. Tattvamasi is the Sadvidya part it is. That Sat is you. That is the Tattvamasi. If it is you, where is it? Body is all action, doing. It is not this Sat. Sat is being. Body is not Sat. Mind is not Sat. Then where is the Sat? You have to catch it. How do you catch it? By merging in it, you catch it. That is how you catch it. So, stop the actions at the physical and the mental level, all doing. Then there is a knack of doing it. It is not a doing at all. There is a knack of giving up this doing. You have to cultivate it in meditation. And then you just get that abidance in the pure space-like being. And you first familiarize yourself with that. That is your Swarupa. The doing is not your Swarupa. Doing doesn't contribute to the Swarupa. Doing doesn't oppose the Swarupa also. Therefore, doing can be there in its place. You need not stop doing all the time. As a discipline in the beginning, to gain that knack of getting established in the space-like being, in the beginning you have to give up the doing. That is called upasana. Asana. You have to go closer to that being. If you are stuck with the body doing and mind doing, then you cannot go closer to that being. Therefore, give up doing, all doing, relax. By giving up all doing, don't do anything. Understand that thinking is also doing. Concentrating is of course a doing. So stop all doing and just be. As you do that, asana, as you gain that abidance and familiarize yourself with it, then eventually after some abhyasa, doing can be there. Even while doing actions, you can remain centered or fixed in that being. You can remain there. actions will go on. You will come there, but first, that is not the first step. That is the mature, as you mature into that being, that is where you will reach. Even while actions are going on, you may have to practice it later with small things, like you are walking a short distance, you walk. You keep yourself abiding in that being, but allow the walk to go on. Initially you have to practice it in a lonely place where there is no traffic, etc. is not there, and where there are no other people, nothing will disturb you. You will be walking. There is walking, but you are not doing anything because you abide in that being. So initially you may practice it in some such small actions. Gradually the daily chores of life will be going on, but you continue to abide in your being, space-like being. That is the progress. You have to make it happen. What is difficulty in it? You are not asked to perform rituals, you are not asked to run here and run there. Ishvara is sitting here all the time, so there should be no difficulty at all. And this Ishvara, who is in the heart, okay, we have already covered the time. Very interesting. I did not notice. So Ishvara, who is sitting in the heart, he is, the next idea is Sakhyuhu. He is your best friend. Your best friend is not in the world. Your best friend is not your body. Your best friend is not some emotion of your mind. Your best friend is that pure being abiding in the heart. We'll come back.